Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's the night. We got Master Chaos in the house. What's going on?
Hey, bud. First of all, thank you for having me back. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you as always. I mean, you've been on my stuff a couple times. But first of all, who does? I should say, second of all, who does your opening theme song? It is amazing.
well, I've changed it a couple times over the years, but my buddy Corey from King Needgore, he does the lyrics to the
Oh,
song. And that's an interesting story in and of itself. But yeah, he did an amazing job with that. I had the beat, and one day he says, "Man, I got some lyrics for you for that," and I'm like, "Cool, man." And then he had great lyrics in it, and I tweaked some of the clips to match what he was saying.
nice,
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
epic. I love it.
Thanks, man. All right. So, yeah, so tonight we got Master Chaos in the ring with me. We got some questions I'm going to be asking him, but probably just as important, we're going to be talking about a couple of our picks for the best haunted house horror movies
Mm-hmm.
ever. No, I'm just we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, absolutely. By the way, hello to everybody in the chat. I'm honored to be here, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a couple people in here. We got Castellar talking about ghost story and superstition. Nice, nice. Robin's in the chat. What's up? What's up? Dan from Mr. Dan and Horror. What's up,
Ooh,
man? What's up? The Haunted. All right.
The
All
Haunted.
right.
I don't know that I know that one.
Dan is a film buff to the extreme. He knows his stuff. Like if he says it's good, you can pretty much take it to the bank.
Great.
Neil, what's up? Neon Black Reviews. Blucka, what's going on? What's going on? Hellbound is in the chat. What's up,
Hey,
man?
man.
What's up? Night Watch and Master Chaos together. Dreams do come true. Nice.
Nightmares come true.
Right. Ginger Ninja, my man. What's going on, man? How you
Hey,
doing? All right. And Eric from Hey Internet. Eric here, my good friend. Say
hey, what's up, man?
Poltergeist is my number one. All right. All right. Buff Shaman's in the chat. This isn't Friday 13th 7. No, we actually had to reschedule that, and hopefully we will be having that next weekend. So hopefully you can join us for that, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. Anthony too.
Oh,
What's going on? House on Haunted Hill. All right.
okay.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so Master Chaos, let me start off with you.
Yeah,
First of all, let's talk about what's going on with your channel. You, to me, and you know this because we talked many times outside on social and so forth, you always have interesting things going on your channel. You're the man. You really are. So what do you got going on new? You've got your movie that's going to be coming out in physical media. Let these guys know
yeah.
what's up.
Well, first of all, thank you. It started over the pandemic. We're coming up on 2 years, and hey, what's up, Eric? Yes, please do check it out, man. You know, I love movies. Ever since I was a little kid, I love movies. I was an only child. Movies were my brother and sister, and they made me happy. And
Hmm.
I've decided to dedicate myself to movies. And so, um, I'm what I bring to my channel is I'm not just a film critic who just watches movies or whatever, but I'm a filmmaker. I'm somebody who has sacrificed quite a bit of time and money and sweat and a little bit of blood to making movies, to crafting more artwork, for better or worse.
Hmm.
And so on my channel, what I like to focus on what a filmmaker's perspective is on a movie. So that's sort of what I bring to my reviews in terms of like why does this work? Why doesn't it work for me in terms of either?
Hmm.
And I'll look at it technically, the script, the actors, the direction, pacing. Those are big things for me. So I'm really big on those technical aspects because that all affects what the poetry of the movie is.
Right.
So I really have a fun time with that. Um, and the channel's been growing really fast. And I'm honored by that. Hey, what's up? I
Patrick.
haven't heard from you in a while, man. What's up? So yeah, the channel's been growing fast. People come in and I try to make it a really friendly, happy place. I love my subscribers and I love talking about movies. I love sharing that love and spreading a little positivity in the world. Even though I'm usually negative on a lot of movies, it's really because I'm not shitting on it to shit on it. I'm trying to warn you, like don't waste your money or your time on something.
Right.
But I always got the consumers back, and that's kind of what my approach is on it. But yeah, I've been having fun with that and trying to get the film career back on track after the pandemic. Kind of crapped on everything, and it's been tough. It's still tough. I'm supposed to go into production on a movie in a month, and it's been 3 weeks since. Hey, Barnabas, Monday, tomorrow. I shout out to you. There's a Mail Day Monday on my channel. There's a shout out to you. The donation you sent me has been put to good use. So stay tuned for that on Monday tomorrow.
Nice.
Anyway, I get sidetracked. But anyway, so 3 weeks and I still have not gotten notes on the first draft, and we shoot in a month. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating to make movies, but it is what it is. We try our best. It's the only thing I want to do with my life. Anyway, that's my long ramble. That's what I do on my channel. That's why I'm here, and I love me some Night Watch. So I'm honored to be here with Night.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And of course, your movie is going to be coming out on physical media this week, right?
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yes. Yep. A movie I wrote, literally, again, this is how filmmaking works nowadays. I wrote it 5 years ago. It's finally coming out. It's on VOD now. It's called The Legend of La Llorona, and it's coming on. That's right, Bumpy. We do. Yes. And it comes out Tuesday, the 8th, March the 8th on physical media. I don't know if it'll be in stores. Hopefully it will. I'll do a video looking for it. So stay tuned for that. But you can get it at Target, Walmart, online right now, Amazon. I think it's pretty cheap if you're interested. Or, I don't know, VOD is probably pretty cheap as well. But physical, man, that never happens nowadays. So many companies aren't doing that anymore. So, woo! Yay!
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, let me just say, and I won't get too deep into it because maybe that'll be something that I'll talk about on another video, or maybe I'm sure you will too. But I saw the movie and I really enjoyed it, man. I really liked the vibe of it. I liked the story. It kept me invested. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is so cool. I know who wrote the movie, and I say that to say that I think a lot of viewers, sometimes they don't know like so many of these different talents that people have other than just what they see on a YouTube video. And I just wanted to make sure I took the time to just throw that out there about you, because I've always appreciated your takes on film, because I also knew that you had skin in the game, so to speak, and you have that type of perspective. So in other words, and I think I said this once, or maybe the last time I was on your stream on your channel, when Master Chaos talks, you got to listen. You may not always agree, but you got to listen, man, because you know what you're talking about. So I'm really happy for you. Really proud of you. And like I said, it's an honor to know you and to be able to collaborate with you. And I know there's going to be bigger and better things coming for you, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do this. We're talking about haunted house movies. We wanted to talk about a few of our picks for haunted house movies. How about I'll start with you. You give me a pick. I know what your picks are, but these guys don't. I've got a couple images. Hopefully that'll kind of help along here too. But give me your pick and just give it to me straight, man. Why is it a pick? What does it mean to you? And how scared were you when you first saw it, if at all?
That's a good way to put it. Well, first of all, I should preface by saying I love haunted house movies. Ever since I was a kid, I've been like, last time that I was on your channel, we talked about aliens.
Yes.
I love the paranormal. I love ufology. I love all that stuff. And I just there's just something about the paranormal that is fascinating to me. And one of my hobbies is I'm a ghost hunter. And I've gone to multiple locations. I've been out to Waverly Hills in Kentucky, which is like, an abandoned not insane asylum, tuberculosis hospital. And I mean, it's one of like the Mount Everest of horrors, to borrow a term from a famous movie.
Hmm.
A crazy haunted place. So I do this for a living too, just like filmmaking. I go out and I look for ghosts and I say, hey, come and get me. Um, I actually did that in one place, and everyone was like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And I said, "Well, look, I'm here to find out if anything's here, so I'm
Right.
gonna do it." And it's a place called Bobby Mackey's Music World. Is it in Kentucky? It's near Kentucky anyway. So it was a super haunted bar. It's been on Ghost Adventures and things like that. I go in the basement. There's like a dugout pit, and it's like people said, don't go in the pit and taunt the ghost or whatever because you're gonna get possessed or you're gonna get scratched. So I go in the pit and I say, "Yo, I'm here. Come and get me. I don't believe you're here," and nothing happened. That being said, Alucard, you would love it. It's an amazing place, and they do offer tours, so you should check it out. Um, uh, Nothing happened, but I was running a camera, and on my recorder, when I was going back through footage, there was like a meteor of light that just kind of pops into existence and then just kind of floats and then
Ooh.
disappears. And it's not dust because it's lit. It has like its own light. Anyway, I'm going into ghost hunting terms, but anyway, that's to say I love ghosts and I believe in ghosts, and so that informs my viewing of ghost movies.
Hmm.
That's why I'm gonna start off with a real one, at least one that's based on true events, and that is The Entity with the amazing Barbara Hershey. This
Yes.
is a stunning movie, well made, and again, I mean, we're talking a script that is crackerjack. It never stops. It's tension right from beginning. I mean, she gets attacked. It's about a woman who gets raped by ghosts. Let's just say this.
Hmm.
That's what happens. Based on a true story, the real case is even scarier. There's a documentary on it. It happened in California, and she gets attacked almost not in every scene, but every other scene there's an attack, especially right in the beginning. Bam, it happens. You don't have to wait 30 minutes to get to the crazy stuff, and it's intense and scary and frightening, and the music is just thumping, and the effects are insane, and then we get to the ending, which is how do you trap a ghost? How do you capture it? How do
Yes.
how do we stop it? And it's just I don't know. I love that marriage of science and the paranormal. There's just something so satisfying about that movie. Of course, it ends, up in the air because in the real case, for those of you who don't know, the woman moved away from the house where it was all happening.
Hmm.
She, from what I remember, in the second house, she still had occurrences, but they weren't as strong. So she moved again. And as far as the parapsychologists who were following the case, as far as they know, it stopped. So it looks like it
Mm.
was connected to that house in some way. But that is a movie that will knock you on your ass because it's so powerful and so. I mean, Barbara Hershey's acting, the effects, all of it. I mean, it's a masterpiece. Would you agree, there, Knight?
Yeah, I totally agree. I when I first saw this movie, it's funny because I agree with you. Haunted house movies have always been a thing for me, and if especially if they're good, if they scare me, they stick with me for a long, long time. You know,
Mm,
ghosts and everything. And I definitely want to talk a little bit about your paranormal stuff too. But
sure.
I saw this movie as a kid because my parents were. I was fortunate that they let me watch horror movies. It scared the
Mm,
shit out of me as a kid. It literally. I didn't even finish it when I was a kid. That's how worked up I got. And of course, I revisited it later on. I think it was in my teens or whatever. And obviously now I have it on physical. It's one of my favorite haunted house movies too. And you're so right. The music, the acting, the script, the whole idea of marrying science with the supernatural. I mean, and of course, Barbara Hershey was amazing. And also, look, if you got Ron Silver in your movie, I'm in. You know, he's just one of those character actors. Anytime he's in a movie, I'm just sold. He's just one of those guys for me. I don't know. It's just I'm weird like that. But
hmm
it's a great movie, and it's funny because for you guys watching, Chaos and I, we didn't tell each other our lists until very very shortly before we went live.
hmm
And The Entity was one of those movies that I picked multiple ones because I didn't want to pick one that he was going to pick. The Entity was the one of the ones I had on my list too because it's just fantastic. It
That's
really
great.
is.
I mean,
Absolutely.
the thing is, there's so many haunted house movies. It's hard to whittle down because I love little bits and pieces from other movies. So I really just
Yes.
kind of, I mean, I only sent you. I'll be honest, I only sent you two of the ones that are like these are, you know, awesome, perfect
Yes.
haunted house movies. Anyway, sorry.
Yes.
What's your pick?
All right. So again, this was kind of challenging because I was like, well, I could talk about so many things. For people that have watched the channel, they know, and obviously you can see behind me, they know my affinity for The Shining, and
Mm,
obviously that's a favorite of mine. I just that film always has been on my radar since I was a kid, scared the crap out of me. But I said I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction, and I absolutely love the actor in this movie, and I thought it was one of those movies. Again, saw it as a kid, Sunday afternoon. My dad's in the living room reading his newspaper with the TV on, and I'm just trying to hang around, and he's watching this movie. George C. Scott
oh,
in The Changeling, and man, wow, this movie, it's so fantastic. I actually have it physical. I think I got it over here. I'll have to take a look. Yeah, I do. It's just one of those movies that is just it's just amazing. It really, really is. Creepy. It's a mystery as well.
mm-hmm.
And I absolutely love those types of films too, where there's a mystery and I feel like I'm trying to um, figure it out along with the lead, the characters. And George C. Scott, I mean, and I've talked about him a few times on the channel. Gosh, man, what a talented actor. He
Mm,
just has a certain charisma. Like he commands, at least for me as a viewer, he commands my attention.
right.
He's just that type of actor. um and so anyways, this movie, creepy scenes, the scene where they have the contact with the voice, on the recorder and stuff. I mean, some folks, especially maybe some of the younger folks, they might be thinking, well, that's not that scary, because I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people can get desensitized, especially the younger generation. But I'm telling you, this movie not only is a great story, great script, great acting, but it's a nuanced type of terror and tension that just overtakes you. And like I said, as a kid, whew, scared the crap out of me. That was a Sunday where I didn't have a lot of fun afterwards. My dad was like, well, you shouldn't have watched it. I was like, I didn't know.
Oh, thank you, Anthony.
Yes,
Um,
Anthony.
that's a great pick. It's a solid movie, and just to reference another one of our favorites, this is Nev Campbell's favorite horror movie.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I think I heard
At
that.
least that's what she always mentions when they ask her what's your favorite scary movie. She always says this. So
Yeah.
maybe she's
Yeah.
only seen this, and that's all. But as far as we know, it's her favorite.
That is awesome. I totally forgot about that. You're right. You're right. But it's
Hmm.
great. It's a great one, man. And I
It
think
is.
I think for people, and not to go on a tangent, but I know that I try to um, champion movies like that
Mm,
from back then, because not a lot of people know about it, because it's not like it was one of the other picks that you're going to say, which everybody knows that movie because it just has that type of legacy. But not many people know of things like The Entity or The Changeling. And I think
mm,
these are movies that, if you're a fan of horror movies, if you're a fan of haunted house horror movies, these are movies you should check out. And I know you do the same thing on your channel too, which is why I've
mhm.
always loved your stuff, because you champion movies that a lot of people don't talk about, or a lot of people don't know. I mean, there's been many movies you've talked about, and I'm like, man, I got to check that out. Holy shit, he's right. It is good. So that's why I love doing this type of stuff. I really
Yeah.
do.
No, it's a solid film, and yeah, you're right. I think pacing might be an issue for some of the younger audience, but
Hmm.
it's quality. I mean, yeah, George C. Scott is so good, and he's a big reason why Exorcist 3 works.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
so good in that.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe a different actor would have probably made that movie kind of a chore to watch, but because he's so magnetic, you can't
Hmm.
take your eyes off of everything he does. Actually, it's been a while since I've seen it. I gotta watch that one.
Yeah,
You
it's a
watched it
good one.
in a while. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, Valerie, I was in Insidious. I mention this every time I have Killjoy Jake on, because that's one of his favorite movies. I was in
Yes.
Insidious. I played one of the ghosts. You'll never find me, but I was in the ether, whatever the hell it's called,
The
the
further.
further. That's what it was.
Yes.
Um, and you know what? When we were making the movie, it didn't feel scary. It was like, gosh, this looks really cheeseball. Like we were all dressed like we looked like we were like out of the haunted mansion. Like we had like this period clothing, and like nobody had like ghost makeup on. We were just like us with like, caps and like vests. I was like,
Uh-huh.
man, this looks real cheeseball. Like I didn't say anything to James, but I'm like, man, I don't know, this is not gonna be scary.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fantastic, freaky ass movie. So
Yeah.
it just goes to show you the differences from being on set to the finished product. How what a movie can become as it mutates. It's kind of
Good.
amazing.
Good point. Good point. And my man Strange Monkey is in the chat. I love Strange Monkey.
Strange
He says,
Monkey.
I really need to give the changeling another chance. It moves slow for me. I need to give it my full attention. Yeah, man. Check it out again, man. It does, like, and I guess that's a good question to ask you too, Chaos, before we go to your next pick.
Mm,
Sometimes these types of movies specifically, they can move slow or be considered
mhm.
slow burns or whatever. Do you find that these types of movies in this subgenre or whatever, do you find that pacing sometimes can be one of the biggest obstacles?
Excuse me. Yes. Mainly because if you have no budget, you have to fill it up with something, and it's usually either people walking around, or
Mm,
people just listening for scary stuff to happen, and then that can get a little boring. I mean,
yeah.
that's just part of the genre is the sort of the setup and expectation. So, something scary is going to happen, something scary didn't happen, and then, oh my god, something scary happened when I wasn't ready for it.
Hmm.
So that build up, that's kind of what we expect. But sometimes slow burns can just wear you down and
Yeah.
exhaust you. I'm not a
Yes.
big slow burn fan. Honestly, if a movie has a real slow burn, it just doesn't do it for me. I like a
Hmm.
movie that, I'm not saying deliver in every scene, but for example, a movie I'll be reviewing this week on my channel, from Vinegar Syndrome, called Sister Sister. It's a murder mystery thriller, but
Hmm.
it's a slow paced murder mystery thriller. But what I liked about it, and again, I'm watching from a script perspective, every scene was integral. Every scene gave us something new.
Hmm.
Oh, now we know more about this character. Oh, now I see how that connects to that. It
Right.
wasn't just fodder and empty air. And I think an
Mm.
audience really picks up on empty air, and that's when people start to feel like a movie's dragging, is because it feels
Yeah.
empty.
Hmm.
We're not
Yeah.
talking about Batman, but just a quick reference to Batman. I liked it. It didn't need to be 3 hours long, though. It did not need to be 3 hours long.
It probably could have been shaved at least, what, 15, 20 minutes?
Oh, I think a good half hour.
Yeah.
I think that probably would have helped it.
It
I
was
thought
it
it was
was
good.
it was almost like it had some moments where it was almost like it lingered on to kind of showcase
Yeah.
the, whatever the set designs or the
Yes.
moments, let the moments linger on a little too long and stuff like that.
Right. Like Batman walking around crime scenes. I'm like, let's go, hurry up, dude. Why are you so slow, bro? You're gonna waste time. No spoilers, but there's one scene he's talking to Alfred,
Hmm.
and towards the end, and it's just such a long, slow scene. I
Hmm.
was sitting with my son, and like, I was like, let's go see Batman. And usually when we walk out of a superhero movie, he's like, oh, I want to be, I want to be Superman, I want to be a Spider-Man.
Right.
He didn't want to be Batman. you know.
He's like, I don't want to take all day investigating a crime
Yeah, he's like,
scene.
nah, okay. I was like, hey, you want to play Batman? He goes, nah, I'm good.
That's funny, man.
Uh,
I had watched a review by my good friend, the horror miser Monty G, and that was
mm,
one thing that he said too. He really enjoyed the movie. He didn't do spoilers, but he did say that it was too long for him, and I could definitely understand that. 3 hours is a long haul,
yeah.
for a movie. It really is, and especially, in that movie, it is definitely like an action crime thriller
Mm,
versus like a popcorn superhero movie,
yeah.
So when you have a crime thriller, a mystery, all those types of things, kind of similar to these types of movies we're talking about tonight, you
Mm,
you have to hit your points. You have to keep a certain pace to keep people invested. And
yeah.
I think like I agree with you. It definitely could have been short. He said the same thing too. It definitely could have been shorter. No doubt. No doubt at all.
Yeah.
Um, Denisha is asking, Master Chaos, what do you think of Scream 6 being filmed in Canada and Sydney will return? Do you think Mark will be the new sheriff?
No, Mark will not be the new sheriff. I do predict he will be back in a cameo.
Mhm.
And Nev Campbell, I think I commented this on one of your Scream, one of your I think when you guys were doing a Scream 6 discussion, I think I commented this that Nev Campbell was like, oh, they've approached me. There's no script. BS. I call BS. There's no way that they're shooting in June and there's no script. There's
Right.
no way for a big movie like that. No, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a script. Maybe they're doing rewrites. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
But I would imagine Nev Campbell and Courtney are signed on. I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine they signed them on for 2 movies ahead of schedule. And as soon as far as Canada, I have no idea. It's so confusing to me. I don't know if I don't know if they're gonna make Woodsboro there, but like why? It can't be
Yeah.
that much cheaper than where they filmed before, and they're
Right.
gonna have a bigger budget. A successful movie, they're gonna give it more money. So I don't know. I have no idea. It's such a mystery to me. No
Yeah,
idea.
it is a mystery. But I will say this, and of course you had a fantastic stream where we talked about Scream stuff too.
Hmm.
And I will say, because people have fallen on either side of the fence with that movie.
Hmm.
That's happened a lot lately with horror movies, especially the big name horror movies. And me personally, I think it's an exciting time for horror fans, just because we've got things coming out, and of course, and you let me know what you think, just as a regular everyday fan.
Hmm.
To me, if you have these big horror movies coming out, and if there's buzz about it, and hopefully if they do decently or whatever, the way I always looked at it was that's good for all the other horror movies that may not have as much reach and much
Hmm.
pull. In other words, if Scream comes out and it does horrible and everybody hates it and stuff, I would think that a lot of the little guys will, in some way be affected by that, just in general from the industry. Is that true, or am I clouded a little bit by that?
Well, it's different. I think when Scream the first one came out, that was a big oh shit to the industry, and then we saw the glut of slasher movies coming out of that.
Mm,
Nowadays, everything is so different. It's really all about IPs. So you're not seeing original movies come out. I mean, you're seeing stuff like Freaky and
mm-hmm.
Time Cut from the same people who did Freaky, but those are championed by the director of Happy Death Day. People who
Yeah.
sort of have at least a foot in the slasher game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It really stands. It really depends on the budget. It really depends on how much money it makes. It really depends on what legs it has. Does it sell well in physical media? Are people
Mm,
still talking about it? Scream 6, that was sort of an anomaly to get a sequel like shooting the same year that the last one just came out. That's kind of nuts. And that kind of tells me that they were always planning to shoot this back to back,
mm-hmm.
and that they were ready to go. That's
Yeah.
kind of where I feel they were heading with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
every little bit helps. But at the same time, there's so many movies coming out. There's so many movies we don't see. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a filmmaker, and there's a couple movies I made that no one's ever seen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so easy to make a movie nowadays that the movies we do see, I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you, there's 1,000 that will never see the light of day. That
Yep.
people have their dreams crushed. That they'll go
Mm-hmm.
on to like, screw it. I'm working at Starbucks. You know,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
So will it help the little guy? No, unfortunately, it won't,
Okay.
because it's all about money. And at the end of the day, there really is no money for independent filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
Will it inspire more slashers? We'll wait and see. We'll wait and
Mm.
see.
Good. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Excellent answer. Um, well, let's get to your next pick and
Okay.
see what we got.
Next pick. It's kind of an obvious one, but this is my favorite haunted house movie. I watched it as a kid. It freaked me the hell out, and it's one that really works on an audience nowadays. It still has that impact. I showed it to my children. It's their favorite haunted house movie,
Ooh.
and that would be Poltergeist, the immortal classic. This is such a good movie.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure everybody's freaking seen Poltergeist, and it works on every level. Fantastic script, fantastic cast, super well made. Um, you know, Toby Hooper's best film, in my opinion. Whether he directed it or not, it's, I don't know if we want to go into down that discussion route, but it certainly does feel like a Spielberg movie. But
Yes.
he did write it,
Hmm.
um, but it's just so awesome, so satisfying. It hits all the beats. You care about the
Hmm.
family. The ghost stuff is really scary stuff. And it's again, it was written by somebody who loves ghosts. Spielberg is a big paranormal fan, and so
Yes.
this is something he was really interested in, just like Close Encounters.
Hmm.
So you can see that he really likes this stuff, and obviously there's never been a case like this. That crazy monsters and people being pulled into portals and stuff, but skeletons in the pool like that. It's
Real
obviously
skeletons, right?
real skeletons, yeah. But it's God, it's one that I would rewatch over and over and over again gladly, because it's just so awesome, so
Mm.
satisfying, and it's just a masterpiece. I mean, I don't know. There's not really much to say except it's hands down the best haunted house movie ever made, in my opinion.
I hear you, man. I absolutely agree with everything you said. And like I was saying, and we talked about it right before we went live. Poltergeist was on my list too, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna have a couple more picks because I had a feeling you would say Poltergeist, and rightly so. I also saw it as a kid, and I'll never forget the first time I saw it. Again, my parents were just so amazing in the sense that they shared their love of movies with me and my brother. And so it was a big family thing. And we sat around and we watched the movie, and it hit on so many levels. You cared about the family, you liked the family, they felt like a real family,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
things were happening. And it was ratcheted up. It wasn't anything that was too out there at first. They took their time, in other words, and great movie. It still holds up today.
Yeah.
It still holds up today. We did an episode on it some months ago, and man, it was like we were talking about an old friend because we had so many great memories of Poltergeist. And
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
it is so good.
And
Would you?
the remake failed.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
That was, you were going to ask that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I mean, again, good actors though. I love Sam Rockwell. I think he's awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, it just didn't capture that essence. I think just there's something about the script wasn't as tight, and the family wasn't really there,
Hmm.
and those are crucial elements, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the family, everyone, they were the glue. They
Hmm.
really were the glue. And I mean, Craig T. Nelson and Joe Beth, I mean, they just felt real. I know that sounds so cliche, and just as a fan, it sounds so cliche to even say it, but it really is what pulled me in, is the fact that I could understand them in a certain way that felt real. I could relate to them. And even now as an adult, it's like watching the movie and you're like, yep, yep, I can relate to them. So when the horror is
Hmm.
happening, like that scene where Carol Ann is already transported into the other dimension, and they're downstairs, with the scientists and the investigators, and that scene where her spirit moves through her mother, and you hear that music and just the camera angles and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, man. I just watched this movie maybe about a month to 2 months ago just for
Right.
fun. That moment still gets me, it still moves me, just
Mm.
because of the acting and the way that it's set up, and you connect. If you don't connect with the characters,
Yeah.
nothing's gonna work. And yeah.
Yeah. And another, piece of connective tissue between, my two picks, they both have ghost hunters in them. When the Freeling family calls in the ghost hunters,
Yes.
and Tangina, and it's like, I love that. That's just like, oh man, you mean people could do that? And that led me on the journey of like looking into ghost documentaries and all that stuff. So
Nice. All
uh
right.
it's great. It's
That's
great.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, for my next pick, now again, I had a list because I kept thinking, and again, for you viewers that are just turning in, I kept thinking, well, I don't want to pick the same one that Chaos picks. So I actually had like a couple, and I said, well, let me pick something that's kind of out of left field. This is a movie that I saw. I forgot how I even stumbled upon it. I think a couple of friends of mine We were just trying to find a movie to go and watch, and I had heard about this movie, obviously led by to me a very good actress, great actress, and we said let's just give this thing a chance. And nobody talks about this movie. I personally dug it, and it is Nicole Kidman in The Others. And man, it's one of those movies. Now again, and we talked about this with The Changeling, and sometimes if you have a movie that has pacing where things are slowly ramping up, it could work or it may not work, a lot of times depending on the actor.
Mhm.
This is a movie, it's a period piece, which for me, I always kind of dig period pieces because I,
Mhm.
I feel even more transported into this story.
Mhm.
And man, I'm sitting there in the theater and it's just beautifully shot, in my opinion. Again, just as a fan, and things just started happening. And anytime you got a big ass house like that and it's dark and creepy, like I'm already pretty happy. And it just had some good stuff in it. It was one of those movies that it just stuck with me ever
Yeah.
since I saw it. And not a lot of people talk about it. Not a lot of people talk about it.
That is a good pick. I'd completely forgotten about that, and I was just talking about that movie with my wife. We want to show our kids that one.
Ooh,
No spoilers here, but
right.
it packs a punch, that movie, and
Mm-hmm.
it really gets you by the end. You're like, damn, movie,
Yes,
that was
yes,
good. You win. I love when a movie can do that. When I feel like a movie got one
yes.
over on me, like that's because I usually can predict shit like this. So when stuff happens, I'm like, wow, okay, good job. So that is a solid movie.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, Wayne,
Oh,
rest in peace to Heather Rourke. O'Rourke.
actually, quick story about Heather O'Rourke. She was I'm sorry. I was taking a tour of the Paramount lot. It
Mm-hmm.
was an after hours night tour. It was a ghost tour during Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a small group. And we're walking through some sound stages.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys says, I forget the name of the sound stage. He goes, okay, so in this sound stage, um, uh, people report a little blonde haired girl running around, and people are like, oh, what, what's the connection? He goes, well, Heather O'Rourke shot a movie there, and she had such a great time. I think it wasn't her last movie, obviously, because it wasn't Poltergeist 3, but she shot some movie in this studio. She had such a great time there, or something. Her family, knew that she loved this area, and
Mm-hmm.
ever since she passed away, technicians have reported seeing a little blonde-haired girl walking around. So, like, we didn't get a chance to investigate because it was sort of just like a sightseeing tour, and some of the sound stages are usually closed off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it kind of sent a chill up my back to know that Heather had become a ghost. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
it's such a sad story, but the fact is like, oh man,
Mm.
and we don't know anything about ghosts. We don't know if like can she still be in? Is there a heaven? Is she stuck as a ghost?
Right.
What is it? Can
Mm-hmm.
she come back and forth? Can she? Is there an afterlife? Can she go there and come back and just walk around?
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of broke my heart a little bit to think that this little girl is just kind of walking around alone in the dark in this building.
Yeah.
It's really sad. So hopefully that's
Yeah.
not the case. But I wanted to share that because I saw that in the chat. I'm like, oh yeah, the Heather story.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is sad, man. And even rewatching Poltergeist, and I was fortunate on the channel we talked about all three of them, and obviously, the other two, that's another story. But she was a compelling character, and there were good moments in the other movies too. But
mm,
as I'm watching these movies and knowing obviously what happened, even when I was younger, hearing about the tragedies,
mm,
multiple tragedies, by the way, which
yeah,
is even more sad. It just really tugs at your heart because
yeah,
she was just such a sweet little girl. And in this movie, I don't know, man. It's hard to put it into words, but some actors, like I said with George C. Scott, some actors command the screen. Sometimes it's learned, and sometimes it's just natural charisma,
mhm,
natural magnetism. She had that as a little kid.
yeah,
For me,
yeah,
anyways, you
mhm,
know. And just thinking about what happened to her, even talking about it, is like, oh my God, it breaks your heart. But but yeah, the others, that was just a movie that kind of snuck up on me. And like you said, the ending, I was like, I actually heard a couple people in the theater gasp, like, what? And so it was like that that told me is like, yeah, this is pretty good. Again, a movie that, a lot of people don't talk about. And Emma, with that voice, you could haunt my ass. Thanks. Um, but yeah, it's a movie that people don't talk about a lot. But it's one that, if you're a fan of this subgenre, I think it's worth a watch just to check it
Hmm.
out. I really, really do.
Absolutely. Should we do the starred comments?
Yes, yes, because we've got, let's see. Has Master Chaos seen Ghost Watch?
I have. I love Ghost Watch. I think that's a fantastic. It's kind of it's a British found footage movie. It's not even an hour long. It freaked out a lot of people. It was originally supposed to be like a TV show, Halloween special,
Mm-hmm.
and the actors in it were actually like real telecasters of the time. So it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like they were trying to do like a War of the Worlds kind of thing, where it was like real telecasters are going to this haunted house, but it was all fake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good. It's a solid watch, and absolutely recommended. There's not a lot of super ghosty stuff in it, but it's really really fun. I don't actually even know where you can find it, but it's
I
really
haven't
good.
seen it. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. I've heard of it, and I've heard some good things about it.
Yeah,
So
it's it's
maybe
it's
one.
worth tracking down. It might be on YouTube. It's short. I think it's like 50 minutes because it was supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be like an hour TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But really well done. Really, 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 and really natural too, which I think really helps with that kind of stuff.
Nice, nice, very, very cool. And we've got Master Chaos. You need a Blu-ray box set of your filmography.
No, I'm good. I'm too. I'm a bad filmmaker because I hate talking about my stuff. So if somebody else wants to do it, that's fine. But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do anything about it right now. Thank you though.
Yeah, that is a very kind comment.
It is.
Um, let's see. Another question. What do you think about Nightmare on Elm Street, and do you think they should do a remake
Mhm.
with or without Robert Englund? He says he still has one more good run in him, and it is Wes Craven's baby.
Gosh, I always lean towards just let it die because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to. I just don't want them to ruin it. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel a New Nightmare was such a good final statement that
Mm-hmm.
I think we're done. I think we're done. You can't. You would have to make a. I mean, you would have to make a sequel to Freddy's Dead essentially, or
Right.
remake it with Robert Englund. I mean, I don't know if he comes back, that's interesting to me. But the remake was so lackluster that I feel I just feel we should move on. Honestly,
Mm.
what do you
It-
think?
well, it's interesting too, and ironically enough, I was just talking about that the other night on the Lethal Collective with Fate Decided and Killjoy Jake and Craven Something Scary, and I think we were all kind of all over the place because it's a legacy franchise.
Hmm.
Robert Englund is an icon, and yes, like you said, it'd be so interesting to see him come back, one more ride, the last hurrah. It'd be nice to see him do it. But at the same time, you don't want to see them stumble and fall. And also, where do you connect it to? Do you connect it to Freddy's Dead? Like you said, a New Nightmare was a good ending. I think Wes kind of came back and did what he needed to do. Of course, at the
Yeah.
time when it came out, people, weren't really, a lot of people weren't on board with it, but I think now people are starting to understand better.
Hmm.
Um, but what do you do? Where do you go with it? I mean, do you do what some of these movies have done recently and retcon half of the sequels and start somewhere in the middle or after the first one? It's so difficult. And I think
Yeah.
it's because Freddy, for better or for worse, Freddy has changed so much throughout the franchise. From where he started, being
Hmm.
just this dark, scary entity, and then coming to the point where he's cracking jokes, he's making us laugh, and Robert has that charisma, but at the
Hmm.
same time, you lose that fear. And so, where do you go?
Yeah.
And I think, and I think the remake struggled with that too because they went dark, but maybe it went too dark. Uh, Jackie Earl Haley is a good actor. I like him, but it was almost a no win situation for them. So I don't know.
No,
I'm stuck.
Here's the thing about stories is that stories are limited. They don't go on forever. You know, when you
Mm-hmm.
finish a book, the book is done. You
Yeah.
know, no one's clamoring for Citizen Kane Part 6. You know,
Yep.
it's a one and done. And I feel, what would another, like the same thing with Jason, like what would another one of those be? Them killing
Mm-hmm.
other people? We have that. You know, we've got multiple movies of that.
Yeah.
I feel like let's leave the legacy how it is,
Mm-hmm.
and back away. Honestly, if Wes were to come back, you know, if he were alive and he made part 5, I honestly think
Mm-hmm.
he would do a new Nightmare style of movie
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like, not necessarily the same thing, like Ghostface comes to life or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
it would be a thing where, like, you know, it's Nev Campbell and not Sidney Prescott. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
Courtney Cox, and then there's like a psycho fan coming after them. I feel
Mm-hmm.
he probably would have done something along those lines. Um, you know, and I think that's kind of what you do, because the franchise is so meta at this point. You kind of have to just wrap it up and say, here it is, finished product. Because you know, beating it to death, I mean, we've seen what happens. Leprechaun
Yep.
is garbage. Hellraiser is garbage, and
Mm-hmm.
then it just affects the rest of the franchise. You know what I mean? Because like, you
Yeah.
think about, like, I mean, like for example, Star Wars. I feel a lot of people were really excited for Force Awakens. Last Jedi came out, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, what?" And then it made Force Awakens less interesting. So you know, I think, in my opinion, let it rest,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just move on.
Move, move, move on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I mean,
Candyman. I mean, you know, they sort of did something new with the new one, but that was a movie. Actually, speaking of slow burns, I feel like that new one was a little too slow for me. I don't know. I feel like
mm-hmm.
the first Candyman is so good. Every
Yeah.
scene is engrossing and brings you in, and you want to know more.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
one's a little too slow. I don't know. What did you feel the new one?
Well, I thought that it was. I appreciated the fact that they try to do something new, while also respecting the mythology, which
Hmm.
is such a tricky thing to do. Like you're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I did appreciate that aspect, but I do agree with you. It didn't have the snappiness of the
Hmm.
original. You know, the original. I mean, it had like a life to it. And obviously it wasn't just Tony Todd. I mean, obviously,
Hmm.
everything about it, you know, the music, the camera work, the script, the fact that it was a mystery that we didn't know. We didn't know what was going to happen, you know, unless you knew the book or the story, or whatever. But you didn't know what was going on. So that in and of itself kind of puts you in a different mind frame, at least for me.
Hmm.
So I agree with you. The new one definitely was not as good. I'm curious to see what their plan either was, or if they're able to enact their plan for a follow-up, because
Right.
obviously, no spoilers. I mean, it's been out for a while, but obviously at the end of the movie, you know, we saw something. Wish we had more of that, but we saw something, and I'm like, so what's going on?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
So,
that should have happened in the middle of the movie, and then we could, you
yes.
know, yeah, there's too much of art world stuff. I'm like, okay, we get he's a painter. Can we go on?
Yes, yeah. I mean, you know, you saw him kind of just devolve and all that type of stuff, and that was cool. And there was some
Hmm.
nice body horror elements. Shout out to Cronenberg. I'm a huge Cronenberg fan,
Yeah,
but it did go on too long. And like I said, me personally, what we saw at the end of the movie, I think they should have had that in the middle, or at least before the final third of the movie, and then do some stuff from there, because I think
yeah,
that would have been pretty interesting. It almost felt like the ending of it was just kind of like a little tack on, like, hey, guess what? We we got this in here, for you legacy fans or whatever. And it's kind of like, what?
yeah.
you know? Oh, but
It almost felt
yeah.
like a studio note. Like, wait, that's our ending? You mean nothing happens? No, no, no. Go back and reshoot. You got to
Yeah,
add blah blah blah. You know,
right. Yeah.
that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh man, Wayne Nightwatch should play Kane. Yeah, I don't know about that, man.
Right. Oh, you know, that reminds me. I've been meaning to reach out to you and a whole bunch of others. Something I want to do on my channel
Mhm.
is have a live script reading where we pick a script, for example, Scream, and we all play different parts. Like you know,
Ooh,
like I'll read the whatever the scene descriptions. You could be
yeah.
Stu. No, actually, probably Craven loves scary movies. Should probably be Stu.
Yeah,
And then Jake, wow, Jake has to be Billy, and then
that'd be
we
good.
all play the parts. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be hilarious,
Oh
man. That'd be
man,
great.
we gotta do that. That reminded me. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
make sure to get an email out to everybody about that. Anyway,
Yeah, that'd be
so
great.
ghost movies, right? We're still talking about ghost movies.
Ghost movies, yeah. Blucka was saying, what about Gothica? Did anyone enjoy that? It
Oh,
was kind of a haunted house movie in prison. I haven't
I
seen that in
hated it.
years. You
I
hated it?
Well, I went to see it in theaters. It was I was dating my wife. We were so excited. I was like, oh wow, Halle Berry's in a haunted house movie. Oh, this is gonna be pretty interesting. Oh
Hmm.
my god, that shit sucks so bad. Uh, Sorry, Blucka Blucka. If you liked it, I'm happy for you. But geez, not for me.
Yeah, I
Star of
haven't.
Echoes is good.
Stir of Echoes was really good,
Yeah,
man. Kevin Bacon, look, he's an icon. He's a
yeah,
monument. He really, really is.
really good.
Um, let's see. Justin was saying, do you guys find Japanese representation of ghosts is a lot creepier than American?
I'm a big Japanophile. That's not the term. Nipponophile. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Japan and Japanese culture and Japanese things. I love Japanese ghost stories.
Mm,
On my library behind this sliding glass door, I have a ton of Japanese ghost story books, Kwaidan and things like that. So I love that. I think it's eerie as hell. So yes, love it, love it, love it. I
yeah.
think it's really good. There's obviously a lot of bad Japanese horror movies, but there's just something really creepy. One I recommend is called Pulse. I think it's Cairo.
Yeah,
God dang it, that's
that is a good
good.
one. That is a good one.
Freaky.
Good call.
That's so freaky.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I think they really do a hell of a job with the representation as well, man. It's like
Mhm.
you just get like, whoo, you just get shivers, man. And
Yeah.
like a lot of at least the movies that I've seen, this, the people in it usually does not end well for the people in those stories. Like there's
No.
almost it's almost like a no-win situation. So it's like, shit, what
It's
can you
really sad.
do? Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see, we got another question here too. In the Scream films, would you like to see Sydney's niece come back?
Jill?
Oh yeah, Jill. That was her cousin though, right? Yeah, that was her, yeah, cousin.
She doesn't have a niece. She's an
Yeah,
only child.
right.
But
Must
Jill,
be talking about Jill. Yeah.
yeah, Jill, yeah. But she's dead, like super dead. So I mean, if I can't see Stu coming back, then I have to say the same thing about Jill.
I
As
like
much as I
that.
love Jill and Part Four, don't bring anybody back from the dead, please.
Yeah,
No,
that
no.
would totally be jumping the shark and would totally wreck,
Yeah.
the legacy, the reputation of this
Oh
franchise.
yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. Master Chaos, how did you like the Starlight Coca-Cola? Sorry, random question.
Oh, yes, I didn't mention that, did I? It was okay. It was kind of like a cherry Coke-ish, but the more you drank it, the more it just tasted like Coke. Have you heard about this? It's space flavored.
I've heard of it. I haven't tasted it,
Yeah, it's all
but
right.
yeah,
It's just basically Coke and it's red somehow. So I don't
nice.
ask.
All right.
It tastes fine.
Yeah. Blanca saying is Event Horizon categorized as haunted house movie. Yeah, I found
Yes,
that movie pretty good. Yes, yes,
I
yes.
actually had it right next to me. Yes,
There it
very good,
is.
very good movie.
Oh
Creepy
man,
as
I love
hell.
that movie. It is, man. Sam Neill. He's another actor that has done some really good creepy work too, man. He's another actor I really enjoy just checking out what he does. He's very, very, very talented. Very, very
Yeah.
talented. Um, Denisha saying, no one talks about Pet Cemetery. Do you think it was a good movie or underrated?
Oh, you go first.
Well, I love Pet Cemetery. It was a movie, and again, especially for these movies that I saw as a kid growing
Hmm.
up, you do have a certain perspective, um, a lens that you look through it with. But I love Pet Cemetery. It's one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. It's a movie that I think that as I've gotten older, it means a little bit more to me because of the story as far as Gage and so forth.
Hmm.
But it did genuinely has some creepy stuff in it. I mean, Zelda alone is like, wow. creepy as hell. So yeah, Pet Cemetery for me is a really fun movie. I really enjoy it.
Fantastic. I wouldn't call it a haunted house movie. It's definitely a zombie movie, but
Hmm.
awesome. Again, great characters. Fred Gwynn
Hmm.
is amazing.
Yes,
It's
yes.
so good. It's and so sad. I tried. My kids love scary movies, and I tried to watch it with them, but after Gage died, everybody got so sad we turned it off. Uh,
Right,
yeah, it's man, that's hard. That hit, especially as a parent, it hits hard. And then the kids were like really sad that the little kid got taken out. And like,
right.
oh, don't worry, he comes back as a zombie. And they're like, we don't want to see that. So yeah, like,
Right.
we watch Problem Child instead.
Yeah, there you go. Did you guys enjoy The Sphere? Did you mean Sphere or
I think he means the Michael Crichton movie.
yeah, with is it Sharon Stone
Yeah, yeah.
and Dustin Hoffman and
Hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Was it Sam Jackson? Yeah, yeah,
I think so.
yeah. I will say I didn't like the movie, but I liked the book a lot. I'm a big Michael Crichton fan, so
Hmm.
the book was fantastic. And then the movie came out. I'm like, oof, yeah, this doesn't work.
Nice.
Which happens often,
Yeah.
but
What
maybe I
was
had to rewatch it. It's been a while.
yeah, what was do you remember what some of the biggest differences that you had issue with that happened in the movie versus the
Ah,
book?
it's been such a long time. I don't
Mm.
remember specifics, but I remember the book. The book made more sense than the movie. I feel like in the movie
Mhm.
you're like, what? And,
Yeah.
and in the book you're like, oh wow, well that's fucking great. And
Yeah.
then in the movie just didn't capture that. I don't know, it just didn't work the same way.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean because the movie, and I've seen it a few times, and again, it was from that time period where I was just devouring movies like that, and I've
Hmm.
always been a big Dustin Hoffman fan. And I remember the first time I watched it, and I was talking to a friend of mine. I couldn't explain it to him. I was like, I'm messed up, man. And even after watching it a few more times, it still didn't. And you want a movie to make sense, and
Yeah,
obviously with a book, you can approach that in a better way. So I hear
yeah.
you on
It's a
that.
it's a big concept. That's the thing. It was a hard thing to break down.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wayne was asking, I knew this would probably come up. Pet Cemetery remake thoughts.
I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. I know the filmmakers, very nice guys, but I have not seen the remake.
Okay, all right. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, and that's all I'm gonna say. I never watched the whole
Uh,
thing. I sometimes that could be so tricky, man. Doing a remake. House on Haunted Hill, original or remake? Ooh, wow, that's a good question. Holy
hmm.
crap.
I've seen the original more
Mm-hmm.
because I just love William Castle. I love that movie to death.
Yeah.
For a while, it was my tradition on New Year's night. When the clock struck 12, that was always my first movie. Only because
Mm-hmm.
that happened to me one year, and it was just showing on TV, and I watched it. I go, oh, I'm gonna make this a tradition. So I love that movie so much. But the remake is also really damn good. So
Yeah,
it's a
I,
toss
I
up.
I was actually pretty surprised at how much I enjoyed the remake. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
I can't remember what year it came out, but again, it was that time period where I was watching, a lot of stuff, and I was like, wow, it's not too bad. Hey, Pamela, what's going on? And Justin, and we had talked about this a little bit, bringing up The Haunting of Hill House was a great
mm,
series, probably because the supernatural aspect took a back seat to the family drama, but it was scary. I agree,
mm.
man. I was so impressed with that series. I hope to one day be able to devote some time to talk about it in some way, shape, or form, because I think it was just that good. I couldn't stop watching it. Like I was
Mm.
binge watching it. I think I watched it in 2 days, and it was just like I had to keep going because it was just that compelling.
Yeah, it's great. Very well done. The book is really good too. I recommend that if you guys are
Nice.
looking for something creepy to read.
Nice, nice. And let's see. How about 13 Ghosts if you haven't already discussed it? 13 Ghosts was, it was kind of one of those, it was fun. It was, I wouldn't put it at the same level of these other movies that we've mentioned. At least for me. I don't know about you,
Mhm.
Chaos, but
I when it comes to the original, I think the original is not as good as House on Haunted Hill. I think William Castle. I think the gimmick is fun with the ghosts.
Hmm.
but the original is okay. It doesn't really work for me as much as the other ones.
Mm.
But and this is the case where I would say the remake is a little more fun because it really plays with the concept of the different ghosts, and you got Stu in the house, so
Right.
that's cool to see him in another role, another horror role.
Right. Right.
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but I do remember
Mm.
there's nudity in it, and I remember thinking, "Wow, naked ghosts! This movie is awesome."
Like, man, that never happens. What the
Yeah,
hell's going on here, man?
it's usually like creepy grandmas, but no, this is like a hot ghost.
Right. Oh my gosh. Uh, and as we get ready to head on out here, Neil was saying House on Haunted Hill remake has Jeffrey Combs, Famke Janssen, and Ali Larter in it, so there's no way it could be
Hmm.
bad.
Yeah, that's an amazing cast. Amazing
It
cast.
was a very good cast and likable. So yeah, I had fun with that. I know I said that was the last one. We'll do one more. Mike Flanagan has been doing great modern horror recently. Also enjoyed Midnight Mass and Doctor Sleep. Yeah, Mike Flanagan. I think he's really talented. I mean, what do you think about that, Chaos?
Oh, at one point we sort of had the same manager, but his
Ooh.
career took off a little better than mine did. But yeah, no, he's definitely he's found a niche that he's really really good at.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I loved Midnight Mass. I didn't like Doctor Sleep. I wasn't a fan of the book either. I just feel like it was a weird story to take The
Mm-hmm.
Shining with. Well, what did you think? Because you're a big Shining guy. What did you think of Doctor Sleep?
Well, I this is what I've been saying a lot because Doctor Sleep for me, when I went into it, I was nervous because I really like The Shining, Kubrick's movie, but I also like the book. So growing up, I'm a big Stephen King fan, and so, but I understood why they were fans of one over the other, and I also
Hmm.
understood why Stephen King himself wasn't a big fan of the movie The
Right.
Shining. But with Doctor Sleep, it's like you added another wrinkle in the whole thing because you've got the book Doctor Sleep, but you also are referencing the movie The Shining, and you're also referencing the book of The Shining.
Yeah.
So it's like all these elements. And I'll say, for me, anyways, I thought he did a heck of a job. I enjoyed it. I didn't really the book Doctor Sleep was okay. I agree with you. It was kind of a weird way to go.
Yeah.
Um, and this might be one of those instances. And again, guys, you know how we do this. This is all unscripted. This is live. So don't kill me for saying this. But this might have been one of the few instances where the movie um, connected with me better than the book. And it could have been different things. It could have been the cinematography. It could have been, I thought Rebecca Ferguson was amazing as
Oh
Rose
yeah.
the Hat. I
Yeah.
absolutely, she's one of those villains in recent years that I think is so underrated. She was great in that movie. And of course, Ewan McGregor, I'm a huge fan of his too. So that obviously helped me enjoy it more.
Hmm.
But yeah, I liked it. I really did.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. The whole thing about the vampires, it was just a strange choice for part two.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
you
Uh,
know, but yeah, if it worked for the fans, it worked for the fans. I think that's really what matters. And it's interesting that you said that you're a fan of the book because after I love the movie, I was reading the book. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then Mick Garris's miniseries, it was like, what is this? This is so strange.
Right. Yeah.
Do you like the miniseries by any chance?
I not as much as Kubrick's movie.
Mm,
Um, I liked it for what it was. I think I enjoyed it a lot because I was just a fan of the material, and it was cool to see a vision that was closer to Stephen King, what he wanted.
mm,
But I think there were good elements in it. I think there were some good moments. Was it Steven Weber?
yeah,
Yeah, I thought he had a good performance as Jack. Um, but again, I'm kind of up and down on it. I do have it because I gotta I gotta have it in my collection. But I kind of go back and forth on it. I'm a fan more of the Kubrick movie, and of course that's probably just because been a fan since I was a kid of that movie. So
hmm,
yeah,
yeah,
crazy stuff, crazy stuff. But anyways, guys, we're gonna get ready to head on out here and let Mr. Chaos himself do what he has to do. But I do appreciate you because we just talked about this the other day, putting this together, and I
yeah.
know you're busy, and I always appreciate having a chance to talk with you, whether it's on an episode or on social media, or whenever we connect with each other. So this has been really cool, man. I really appreciate it, and you're always welcome. Absolutely, anytime, anytime.
Awesome, man. Yeah, let me know. Now I'm supposed to be making a movie in a month, but I don't know what's happening. I'm so up in the air that yeah, I have more, I have free time. So if you want to get together again sometime this week, let's do it. I'm just gonna just hanging out right now.
That sounds great. And by the way, you guys in the chat or watching this on replay, I do have Master Chaos's link to his channel in the description. So obviously, most of you guys know him anyways. He's the man. But if you have not checked out his channel, go check it out. You're not going to be disappointed. It's a lot of fun. I mean, he's one of those. You guys can tell he's just got that charisma. And that's when I first saw you. And I know I've told the story before, but when I first saw you and you were doing your script reading, your marathon
Oh yeah,
script reading, and I
yeah.
was just like, this guy gets it. And from that point on, I was just just a fan, man.
Thanks,
Seriously.
man.
So
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
And I'm just honored that we have gotten a chance to get to know each other and collaborate it. And I really consider you a friend, man. So like I said, you're doing big things. You're gonna
Thank you.
keep doing big things. So everybody check them out, support them, subscribe. You guys know the rules. Like when we have people on as guests, that means that they really are really talented. So anyways, all right, so
Make sure
I'll
you
have
drop a thumbs up on this video, guys. Okay.
there you go.
Make
Yep,
sure you
you
ignite the thumb.
right, not the finger, the thumb.
No,
But
the thumb. Yeah.
but yeah, give us a thumbs up, and that'll help push the video out, and then also help more people get to hear these wonderful stories from Master Chaos. Hope you guys enjoyed our list. Let us know what you think of those choices. Give us some of your favorite haunted house movies in the comment section down below, and
Mm-hmm.
we will catch you guys later. I'll have you hold on real quick while we do the outro. And as I usually say, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.